Nashville, raising Nashville, raising Nashville, raising Nashville.
Welcome to Raising Nashville. I'm Bucky.
Juice box.
Old boy.
And we have a really exciting episode for you this week. We have been so pumped to do this because this Friday, well, technically Thursday night at midnight, I think, is going to end a decade of one of the greatest things that has ever happened in cinema.
The MCU.
And if you're, somewhat getting close to 40 and nerds like us, you probably have seen the MCU. What we're talking about is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It has been a decade of movies that they have put out.
Right. And I just want to say, you don't have to be a nerd. Your kids are probably into this, too. That's probably why you know about it on the flip side, right?
No, it's not. I did not start 10 years ago. I didn't have kids.
And you didn't like it 10 years ago.
I did, though.
No, you didn't.
No,
I was interested
you
in it.
100% did not. Oh, man, we recorded a podcast once upon a time where we reviewed Captain America, and you crapped all over it. And you were and you even went as far to say, I wish I had the sound bite. Actually, I'm going to find the sound bite. You went as far to say this.
I don't know.
That's why
There's
you don't
no
like
words to express how much I don't like Captain America.
Okay.
Give me Batman, give me Superman, give me Blank Man, but don't give me Captain America. Captain America, the fifth best captain behind Captain Ron, Captain Planet, Captain Jack Sparrow, Captain Morgan. I can't even get through it. Captain Morgan and Captain Kangaroo. Captain America. Fuck you.
Okay.
That was a long tagline.
Fair enough. I'm asking the universe, the MCU, for forgiveness because I am absolutely obsessed with these movies now.
Do you think you're obsessed? Do you think you got converted because of your 9-year-old?
Actually, there's a good chance. And the reason I say that is because you're right. Up until a couple of movies, I think I liked the first Iron Man. I did not like the Hulk. And the first Captain America, apparently, I didn't think was that good.
Clearly.
But
to be fair, I think all of us kind of crapped on that movie. Like, none of us were really into it at the time.
So with this decade of the MCU, this Friday comes out Avengers Endgame. It will be the 20th film in the MCU, if I'm not mistaken.
21st, right? Wasn't Captain Marvel? I feel maybe it's the 22nd.
We're going to say we're ending a decade with Avengers Endgame. So what we wanted to do this week is throw another pop culture episode at you and dive into our thoughts on the MCU, get into some of our favorite movies, who's the best superhero and who sucks at this.
And our plot master for Endgame.
Plot master. For those of you who don't know, Cool Up and Sugarcane's Redbox movie reviews was notorious for having a plot master.
That's right.
Who is normally me.
You should re-listen to those podcasts.
What that means is we are going to try to guess what is going to happen in Avengers Endgame because we all plan on going to see this night it comes out this Friday. Popcorn's flying. They sell beer in movies now, so it's great for me. And we're going to knock this thing out because I'm pumped. You guys pumped?
I'm pumped. They sell Sour Patch Kids, and those are for me.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped about it too. To be honest, though, I'm kind of ready for it to be over. I feel like I've dedicated so much of my movie watching life to Marvel movies in the past few years, especially. I'm ready for this story to be over so I can take a little step back from superhero movies.
Some resolution.
No, it's not. To me, it's not resolution. It's like I agree with what Juicebox is saying because you didn't just watch all of these films, which could be up to 22. We need to do our research on this. So you have probably watched them more than once, correct?
Most of them I have seen multiple times.
So multiple times. That's 44 movies.
Is there any of them you haven't seen?
That's a minimum of 88 hours, and most of them push 2 hours anyway. So 88 hours you've invested in this.
Is the point of this, you telling me this just to make me feel really depressed?
No.
Because you're doing a good job.
This is the first time in our lives, and I think in cinema, where they have attempted to do something like this and tie this many films together in one universe.
I agree.
It's not easy. I mean, and I was reading an article this morning that says you can easily build up a plot to like plan for 7 more movies, like the Fast and the Furious franchise, but that does not go into another world because it's really hard to intertwine all of these movies together.
It's impressive. It's difficult to make a movie without breaking its own continuity sometimes, and to do it on such a scale of multiple characters, multiple story arcs, and to bring it all together, it's deeply impressive.
So that's one of the reasons. Is maybe not just my kid that got me into this. It's we're witnessing something that's insane. It's like watching Tiger Woods.
Yeah, even if you're not into superhero movies, it's impressive what they've built.
Sure. And it not only includes movies. I mean, it's movies, TV shows. It's a bunch of things. And while I never saw Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and many of you, if you're listening to this podcast, probably have if you're that obsessed with the MCU.
I feel like if there's people out there that are obsessed with the MCU, they're going to be yelling at their radio or whatever they're listening to. Because we're going to get so much stuff wrong.
So next time, if you guys want to be on this podcast, just give us a call and we'll put you on here. You're probably way smarter than us.
I'll give you Bucky's number.
So this week we didn't want to dive into this decade of films because you've seen them. We don't need to review, each of these movies or even provide a 5-second review. We wanted to make it a little fun and airy. So what we're going to do is we're each going to talk about our top 5 MCU movies and why.
Okay.
I'll let...
Old boy?
Yep, I guess so. I'll let you go first.
Okay. I'll give you a quick rundown of my 5 favorite and why, like a brief description of why I like it. So, all right, number 1, Thor Ragnarok. You got sci-fi, fantasy, immigrant song ×2, Kate Blanchett, Jeff Goldblum. Yeah. All right, number 2, Civil War. You intro to Spidey and Black Panther. Bad guy ultimately wins that flick, and there's some moral ambiguity there. I like it.
But does the bad guy win the flick because
clearly
they're having a civil war?
Clearly, that's his goal.
They're having a family fight.
Yeah, that's what he set up.
One.
That's what he set out to do, and he did it, and left him in shambles. He clearly did his job. He was really good. And he wasn't even that great of a bad guy, but he freaking did it. So, yeah.
Fair enough.
Number 3, Spider-Man what is it? Homecoming. Yeah. Number 4, Iron Man kicked it all off. Bob Downey is the shit, and Obadiah Stane is a good villain.
Bob.
And number 5 is the first Avengers. It ties in the first phase, and I really like how Loki is the first villain. It's a callback to the comics. It's probably tied with Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, too. I really like that one a lot, too.
But they didn't make your top 5.
Well, yeah. I wasn't expecting much from Guardians of the Galaxy, and I was like, I don't know about this, but it was endearing and
really good.
Yeah, really good.
I love Guardians of the Galaxy. I think Guardians of the Galaxy is kind of what turned me onto the Marvels, like really got me into it, honestly. Like my top 5 are pretty much the same as Old Boy for the most part. They're not in any particular order, but it's definitely the first Iron Man. For me, it's Winter Soldier. I mean, you got like government conspiracy, like shadow government. You have just everything falling apart. Guardians of the Galaxy, like I said, I love that movie. It was just so fun and just so like it was different than any of the other ones. Oh, Thor Ragnarok for sure. For everything Old Boy said, I kind of hated Thor before that movie. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just didn't care about it at all. I didn't care about Asgard. I didn't care about any of that.
It was weak.
Yeah, it was written poorly. I feel like, or I don't know. There's probably some Thor fans that are going to come at me about that, but I don't know. Until Ragnarok, I just felt like that got the tone of what Thor needs to be. Perfect.
Right. And I completely agree. So I'm just going to roll through my top 5 as
Old Boy.
As he said, he went into descriptions on his. So I'll just roll into the top 5 of mine, right? Top. Everybody's got it. Thor Ragnarok. I think there's going to be a lot of similarities here. So Thor Ragnarok is number 1 for me. I think number 2 is Captain America Civil War. Even though I hated Captain America back in the day, I thought Civil War brought everybody together. It also, threw some new characters into a battle in which they'd only been in standalone films so far.
I mean, Captain America has probably had the best story arc of the entire MCU. Maybe Tony Stark, but honestly, like Captain America has been like all over the place.
I completely agree. So, what was it? Thor Ragnarok, Civil War, first Iron Man, because it brought this whole thing to light. It's a classic. Like it, the first time you see Tony Stark and what he's doing, and it doesn't really bring in Iron Man until like halfway through the movie, actually. So I really like that to get it kicked off. Guardians of the Galaxy would be number 4 for me because of the pop culture stuff. And I like comedy through all of this. Like it's great to watch the CGI and the battles and everything, but the comedy has really pulled me together. And number 5, you guys might hate me, but I think it's Ant-Man and the Wasp. I've watched it like 5 times, and I just can't. I love Paul Rudd. I kind of like the storyline in it because it brings in like family, and you don't see that a lot in these movies, like his personal family.
That's a good point.
Those would be my 5, but I mean, come on, like all 3 Avengers. Is it 3? Age of Ultron, original, and Infinity War.
Right.
All 3 Avengers bring them all together, and it's so entertaining, and I absolutely can't wait. Because first time I saw Infinity War, I was just like, holy shit, this is amazing. Bring on the next one.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, and back to your Ant-Man and the Wasp, you're right. They're good family. They're certainly the lighter portion of the MCU. I think they're darker films. I think, and that's like the other end of the spectrum. But it's good for them to have that. Yeah, I think
but
you're
as
right.
all 3 of us said, nothing in this entire 10 years of movie making is better than Thor Ragnarok. I think. I think I think they made a perfect superhero film.
Yeah,
But you have to have followed it a little bit.
Yeah, you have to kind
You
of
have to
know
love
about. Yeah, you have to kind of know about Thor.
yeah, because you got a lot of characters in there. It's kind of a buddy flick too. It's got a lot going for it, man. It's really well done. It thinks outside the box. It's
If people haven't watched any Marvel movies, would they think it was a good movie? Like, it's so hard to be objective when people are like, was that a good movie? It's like, well, I don't know. Did you watch like the other 19 movies? Like,
Well, I mean, so my wife watches 1 out of every 6, right? We've got a 9-year-old, so she sometimes takes him to the movies to watch it when it comes out, and sometimes I do. And I've tried to take him since he was, 3 to go see these films, and he's finally not jarring back and forth and like just jittering the entire time where he sits still, right? So what she has seen 1 out of every 6, and she loved Thor Ragnarok. I think it's just the colors and the music and
the Jeff Goldblum.
and the Jeff Goldblum. No, it's quirky and it's funny and it's fast, and I like that comedy aspect of this entire decade of movies.
I didn't mean to get sidetracked on that. It's just something I always think about when people ask you if the superhero movie is good.
Okay, so now that we've talked about our top 5, the burning question is, who's your favorite superhero and why?
my answer is very easy. It's Spider-Man.
Okay.
Because he's a superhero, but he also has to get groceries and he's got to pay rent. You know what I mean? He's like a regular dude that chooses to also spend his free time.
But doesn't he live with his aunt?
When he's a kid, but he still has homework to do. You know what I mean? He's got real life problems.
But he ain't paying rent.
Well, I think he gets a little older, and when I
Starts paying rent.
when I was a kid, he's always been my favorite because he's the most relatable. I think he's got real life problems on top of his superhero problems.
Did you cry when he descended into dust or feathers in Infinity War?
Oh, no.
You didn't.
No.
That was the heaviest thing.
The absolute heaviest thing.
I mean, I saw it with Bucky. I saw it with you and your 9-year-old, and I was like, "Dang, is he gonna be okay with this?" Because it was intense, man.
Good acting.
Yeah.
What's that kid's name? Tom something?
Holland.
I mean, he's a good actor. He
does a good job,
really
yeah.
brings Spider-Man to life. He's
Yeah.
way better than Tobey Maguire, whoever was.
Yeah, and that other dude. Yeah, I agree 100%. The kid kills it, man. And I'm excited about I hope they make 15 Spider-Man movies.
We know that they're making one more at least. And it
That
comes
takes
out
place.
this summer.
Yeah, I think there's some contract weirdness there. Like Marvel is allowed to make 3 Spider-Man movies or 2 Spider-Man movies, and then Sony can take it
Rights
back
back.
or whatever. So
That's,
we'll see what happens. I mean, they are definitely making better Spider-Man movies than
than Sony.
Well, Andrew Garfield Spider-Man.
Yeah.
No,
I didn't.
thanks.
I'm not even sure I watched those, to be honest.
They were not good.
So, Juicebox, who is your favorite superhero?
See, this is a tough one because I mean,
It is.
I grew up liking Spider-Man, same as Old Boy. Like, I mean, that was my favorite when I was growing up. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's probably Captain America, just because, like I said earlier, because of his story arc. Because he's gone from hero to seeing everything that he believed in just was like fake and corrupt, and just is on the run like an outlaw.
Yeah, he's clearly the good guy always, right?
Yeah.
He's got a good footing on what's right and what's wrong.
And in some of the previews for Endgame, like, he just looks defeated. Like, and that's the other thing. Like, he's never really been like that. He's been like the most optimistic person the whole entire time, and he's just like shook.
He was like that before he became Captain America.
Yeah.
He was always like the anxiety kid that was in the friend zone the entire time.
But he was still like he still never backed down and was still the optimist. Like, he was
Right. Yeah, he was always he was Captain America before Captain America is kind of it.
Yeah.
Like
before the body.
And rarely am I mean, there's points in movies where I'm like, hell yeah. And one of them is when in Infinity War, when Scarlet Witch and Vision are getting their asses whipped by those two alien people. And the train goes by and you see it's Captain America there to save the day. And it's like, hell yeah, man. Like, where you been at? Like, all right.
on the run.
Yeah.
I think
not
I've
worried
had a lot
anymore.
of hell yeah Captain America moments.
Yeah,
like when
you're
he's
right.
fighting Tony Stark in Civil War. Like, to me, that I was on his side. I was not on Iron Man's side.
I was on Iron Man's side on that
Were
one.
you?
Yep.
No, I took his side of the superhero dome.
Well,
and his crew.
I
Everybody was supposed to be for Tony Stark and Iron Man. It's kind of like wrestling. You want to root for the heel sometime.
if you knew who killed my parents and didn't tell me, I mean, I'm gonna mess you up, man.
Look, why is that information that I need to tell you?
Oof.
Just
All right,
because
so-
I know that information.
Well, I think we're going down somewhere.
Yeah, I think that's the definition of friendship, and what your personal opinion and meaning of that is comes into play there.
I think there's another in Civil War. There's another.
There had to have been a reason, though.
There's
There was
another.
a good reason.
What, to protect his other buddy?
To protect Bucky.
Yeah.
That's it. It's coming to light. I get it now.
And to pull full circle on that, so my favorite superhero, you would think it was Bucky, which I love. And I love the arm. I love his, everybody hates him and thinks he's, this bad guy, but he's really this good guy underneath, unless he's under a spell, and blah, blah, blah. My favorite superhero would have to be Thor. And the reason I say that, and it has absolutely nothing to do with the last 10 years of movies or the Marvel Cinematic Universe or anything. They introduced all of this. I really wasn't into it growing up. I was a wrestling kid, right? I was into Hulk Hogan's and Macho Man's and things like that. I wasn't really into comics. Mm-hmm. So the first time that I was introduced to a comic book character that I actually sat down and went out and bought something from was Thor. And that movie was Adventures in Babysitting, because when Elizabeth Shue babysits this girl, she has these Thor comics, and they break their car down in the middle of the interstate, and they have to get a tire or whatever, and they have to take the car to the shop, and this guy comes out, and the little girl thinks it's Thor, and he's definitely not Thor. He's just an auto mechanic. But he puts on, like, the thing and the hammer. And, like, if you've seen Adventures in Babysitting, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That's why Thor was.
Okay. That's a
And he looks
interesting.
very cheesy in the comics.
That's an interesting origin story of why you like Thor.
So, and if I could name any other superhero, it would be Thor's brother, Loki. Like, that's my second favorite.
I like Loki, too. Yeah, he's got an interesting arc, I think.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Thank goodness they didn't just like try to kill him off as soon as he was the bad guy, like they did a lot of early bad guys.
Right.
They
Yeah.
did a good job with Loki.
Yeah.
So now that we've dove into who our favorite superheroes are, who's the worst superhero in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? I'm gonna go first on this. I'm just gonna
Shoot.
call it out. War Machine. I think the casting was wrong. I think the character's wrong. I think
This is your personal vendetta against Don Cheadle, which I disagree with.
it is. Don Cheadle is the worst actor in the MCU.
Whoa.
Dude,
He might have been nominated for Academy Awards for other
might
films,
have
but
been.
he's terrible. He should not have been put in this.
You realize this is why I disagree with movies with you so often.
I guess so. So you must be a Don Cheadle War Machine fan.
I think Don
he is
Cheadle
the
could.
cheesiest superhero in real life when he doesn't have the suit on. I think he copied Iron Man. I think, Iron Man brought him in and said, hey, here's all this equipment. You didn't do shit to do it. So, to be honest with you, if Iron Man's looked at as just some rich dude who has a suit and bought this suit and put it all together, Don Cheadle is just basically bumming off him.
Number one, I think he's like a colonel, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so
he's some
is.
super
I
high
agree.
military
Yeah,
pilot or something.
and they're buddies because
Okay.
Stark is an arms dealer. So he gives him this suit because it is a weapon, and imagine that weapon in somebody's hands who's a military colonel. So yeah, man, I mean they're buddies. He's fine.
No, he's not fine. I just explained why he's not fine.
If it was still Terrence Howard, would you be more okay with this character? Is it just Don Cheadle?
See, the
hatred
difference
that's
is
like,
Terrence Howard has won an Academy Award and Don Cheadle has not.
I think they upgraded War Machine when they got rid of Terrence Howard.
That is wrong. That is absolutely wrong. Terrence Howard is an incredible actor. He can jump into any role on the snap of a finger. Let's move on because
Hold on.
No,
In real life, Terrence Howard believes like 1 + 1 does not equal 2, right?
He's something weird.
Scientology.
No, I think he might be. Anyway.
Even if he
what
was
is
a
that? It's like
Scientologist.
an anti-science thing or something.
Yeah,
like,
Can we pause?
Why are we looking? Who cares?
I care.
I'm about to introduce that I'm a flat earther.
Terrence Howard believes 1 × 1 = 2.
That's just ignorance. That's not acting.
What does that even mean? Yeah, why does
I don't know. I'm not even getting into it, but he believes like firmly, we'll fight you.
That is not a reason why I would pick Don Cheadle over Terrence Howard. Okay, so War Machine, worst. Who's your worst?
I'm going to tell you how good Don Cheadle is.
stop.
Don Cheadle is so good. If you put him in the role of Thor, he'd kill it. If you put him in the role of
disagree with that.
Thanos, he'd kill it.
Okay, so who's your worst superhero?
Who did you like again? Thor. I just want to tear down whoever you like now.
Fair enough.
No, the worst one. I'll be honest with you. I'm not a big fan of Ant-Man. I like the movies. I think they're light and all that, but like somebody who shrinks and then gets big.
Is one of the best qualities in a superhero. Somebody who can get as small as a freaking ant.
I feel like he could die accidentally at any moment.
He could die accidentally, as all of them could. But he can get through like door locks, and he can get into things that people can't get into, and he can grow really big and blow that shit up. So if he wanted to go,
Avengers, what are we going to do? This door's locked. Send Ant-Man in. I'm just saying, if I have to pick, that's my least favorite.
okay, that's not a great one.
All
Juice
right.
Bugs, who's your least favorite?
Okay, so this is gonna probably get some grief, but if we're talking about for MCU, right?
Yep.
Okay, so then it's got to be Captain Marvel, because I was totally underwhelmed by her movie. Like they just didn't really give you a good reason to care about that character, and now we're supposed to be believing that she's the savior for the Avengers or something like that. Like I felt like that movie was lacking.
I completely agree.
And I'm not trying to get off on something like Brie Larson wasn't the right casting. Like I thought she was good in it. I just don't feel like there wasn't enough. That movie needed more backstory, honestly. There wasn't enough backstory of her to make you care about her. I mean, it was just like, here she is. Here's a little bit of her background. I don't know. It felt rushed. It felt like it was just a movie that they had to make to get to Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
But they planned this out like a couple of years ago that they were going to release Captain Marvel. I just think they dropped the ball on how they did it. And it has a lot of comedy, and I agree with the 90s nostalgia and the blockbuster and everything like that.
And I'm fine with most of that. It was just lacking in a way. And I felt like it was kind of transparent. Like, honestly, I didn't read much about it going into it. Like, Captain Marvel is the character that I knew the least about going into it, like, period. So I didn't really know much of the backstory. I tried to stay away from spoilers going into it. Go into it with a clean slate. Like 10 minutes into the movie, I'm like, okay, Jude Law is going to be the bad guy.
Oh,
It was just so predictable, and it was just so transparent, and it was just...
And then an hour and 40 minutes into the movie, you actually see what her superpowers can do. Like, and when she gets in the suit, and you get 15 minutes of the suit, and you're like, how in the hell is this superhero going to join the Avengers and do anything more than any of them can do individually?
Well, that was the other thing, too. There wasn't really, like, coming to reckon with your power type thing or something. It just, I don't know.
But is it
It
smart
felt like it was lacking for me. So, for me, that's my least favorite superhero so far in the MCU.
So is it smart of the Russo brothers to make us believe that this Captain Marvel movie we've all been waiting for is the answer to why, half the Avengers died in Infinity War, and this girl is going to save the day? But really, that wasn't their plan at all. Because most of you have seen the preview of Avengers Endgame, if you haven't, you are not on this planet right now because it comes out on Friday. And we have got confirmation through articles and the actual directors and writers of the movie that said that they are redirecting your mind on these previews that have come out. These things aren't going to happen.
Yeah,
Sure.
Misdirection. They did that for they did that for Infinity War too. So
and I also think like a lot of the articles and things we read, like the theories and stuff like that, I think that's probably planted by Disney. I mean, I know Lucasfilm used to do it with Star Wars. They would.
You're talking about like every time I go on the internet and
Some new
I scroll
theories
up
there.
on Google and it's a new fan theory.
Yeah,
Or
I think a
yeah.
lot of that's probably planted, and it's all probably misdirection. But I mean, Captain Marvel. I think they're planting. They're getting these new characters for the next phase, right?
yeah, and
So
I'm
they're
sure
getting them in, and they're usually kind of weak. The character building, like Hulk's kind of weak. That first Thor's weak. You've got some
Hulk
weak...
is the worst in the MCU. The 2008
Your favorite?
Hulk, no, it's the worst movie. No.
It is bad. It really is. I'm not. Is that the Edward Norton
It's
one?
the
Yeah.
Edward
I didn't
Norton
even watch it. I don't
Yeah.
think.
I've seen it maybe twice, like once.
And that's the only
on TV.
character they've changed over, right? In this entire 10 years, that's the only character that has changed hands acting-wise.
And your boy Terrence Howard.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And Red Skull.
Who's
Yeah.
the original Red Skull?
Hugo Weaving, is
Yeah.
that his name?
And then
Agent
who's the
Smith.
new Red Skull?
Not Hugo Weaving.
Yeah, it's
He
some dude that's
looks like Skeletor.
It's a dude that's from The Walking Dead, I think.
Really?
Andrew Lincoln.
That's why he left The Walking Dead.
So this week we actually have something absolutely special for you guys. Since we're discussing the Marvel Cinematic Universe in all its glory, and most of us are pushing 40 now, we decided to bring in somebody who is absolutely engulfed in this. So this week we'd like to welcome Asher, my 9-year-old.
Hello.
Yeah. Welcome to the podcast, Asher.
Thanks.
So what we wanted to do is bring you in here and ask you a couple of questions, because when I think about Marvel and the Avengers and the Marvel Cinematic Universe and all these superheroes, it brings me back to when I was a kid. And I think that's what most of the listeners out there that are our age, that's what they feel. Like you watch these movies to take you back from when you were a kid. You are a kid.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. So we wanted to get you in here to get your perspective on this series that has been going on. So let's start with a few questions. We're going to field some questions, right? Okay. So ultimately, and everybody wants to know, who is your favorite superhero and why?
Doctor Strange, because he can basically beat up anybody just by time traveling back to when they were a baby.
Okay. What's he
With
going
the
to...
time stone, using the time stone, and just killing them. That would be easy to beat someone up.
Wait. So it sounds like he is an evil person if he's going to use his powers to travel back in time to when they were a baby and just kill him right then.
No.
No?
Like
No,
when
this-
he does it to like those people that are gonna affect like
Be bad later,
be
right?
bad people later. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so he is going to travel back in time to the villains when they were babies.
Yes.
I would love to see what these villains were like when they were babies.
Do you now? Let's say he doesn't have the time stone. Do you still like Doctor Strange?
Yeah, because he's both a doctor getting his PhD, I think, and I think he's both a doctor in that and a real doctor, so he could have been a superhero just using his cape and performed just anything. When he ever got hurt, he could just do something to him.
And the mystical arts. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right.
And he's also strange.
Yes.
Okay. For those of you that don't know out there, and we will certainly post these to all of our socials, but Asher was the most badass Doctor Strange for Halloween this past year.
It was pretty dope.
It was an insanely great costume. But over the years, Asher's been multiple superheroes, right, for Halloween?
Uh-huh.
Let's go through it. I think you've been Iron Man.
Yes.
Captain America? Spider-Man?
I think, yeah.
Okay. Captain America?
Yeah.
And then the other Iron Man, like the USA Iron Man.
Yeah, it's called War Machine.
War Machine. Yeah,
Great.
Rhodey.
You went as War Machine.
Yes.
Don Cheadle.
All right, so now we know your favorite superhero, Doctor Strange. Who is the worst out of all of the superheroes in the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
I'd say Iron Man. He is just a rich dude that can make stuff. He just made a suit. To do it. That's all he did.
So he's kind of like Batman. Do you like Batman?
No. Not really.
Okay.
I don't like Batman or Iron Man that much.
Okay.
They're both really cool, but
Okay, so now that we know your favorite and your least favorite superheroes, what's your favorite movie? Because as a kid, I remember, these movies just stand out to you, and you're gonna carry this movie through your entire life.
I really like Infinity War. Definitely, I really like Infinity War.
Okay, and
I like Civil War. I like Ant-Man. I like a lot of them. Mostly all of them. I like all of them.
you like all of them.
But I like Infinity War the best.
So are you excited for Endgame?
Yes, I am very, very excited for Endgame.
Okay. Why does Endgame excite you? Why is this anticipation building up? Because I know the three of us in this room, we all absolutely know why Endgame is exciting. Is one, because it's ending 10 years of us dedicating ourselves to this. And two, it's like the fireworks show at the end of anything, right? It's all been building to this. So why are you ready for Endgame?
I'm ready for Endgame because it is the final movie of Iron Man and Hulk and basically everyone Marvel.
Do you think they're all going to die?
Not all of them. I don't think any of them are going to die.
You don't think any superhero is going to die at the
No.
hands of Thanos? I think a couple already have, though, right?
Yes, but I think once he's dead, they'll crush the Infinity Stones, and that puts them... I don't want to spoil it, but for those of you who have not watched Infinity War, I don't want to spoil it, but I kind of gotta. They will...
That was respectful, and then it just died.
It was very courteous.
Go ahead and spoil
I
it.
think they'll kill Thanos, then crush the Infinity Stones, and then the dudes will come back to life. The dust will just put back together.
So the 50% of humanity will come
Yes.
back.
Yes.
Okay, that's what we call on this show. On our previous podcast, and now on this podcast, we call plot master. So you are plot mastering that the remaining Avengers are going to destroy Thanos, then
Yes.
destroy the Infinity Stones,
Yes.
and then everybody comes back to life.
Yes.
And then what happens? The sunset.
Probably they're just celebrating, and probably it's like a huge party. Probably just like a gigantic party
It's a party.
at the very end.
Okay.
Because they killed Thanos, who is the biggest, baddest villain ever, probably.
If you were going to throw the party at the end of Avengers Endgame, what would that party be? What would be at that party?
Where would it be?
Basically, probably, literally on top of Thanos' body. They'll be like on top of Thanos' body. They'll like jump on Thanos. They'll hit Thanos probably. And it would just be like around where Thanos had died. I would have set it up to where everyone there would be a bunch of food.
Yeah.
What kind of music would be playing?
They would create a remix of all of their favorite songs. And it would just be like this weird music of all of their favorite songs.
All the superheroes, everybody
Yes.
that destroyed Thanos.
Yes.
Okay, so if like
All
one
of
of them
their,
just
like,
into
theme
Marilyn
songs.
Manson, that would be in this big hodgepodge of music we're
No,
putting
it
together.
would be like all of their theme songs.
Ah, that's a good call, actually. I didn't think about that. So all the superheroes theme songs come together, make one big superhero theme song.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It kind of goes back to Captain Planet. When they put their rings together, they form Captain Planet. You're too young for Captain Planet.
Thank your stars, man.
Yeah. So we're having a party on Thanos' body. There's food, there's music.
Juice.
Then roll credits. So here's the best question. Avengers Endgame. It's over. The entire 10 years is over. 20 films done. Is there a post-credit scene? And if there was, what would happen in that post-credit scene?
First of all, let me ask you a question. What is the post-credit scene?
It's that scene at the end of the credits. So we all wait and sit in the theater
yeah.
for when they roll it. And then it kind of
Yeah.
gives an insight to something that's going to happen in the future.
Okay. The guys who made Endgame will appear.
The
They'll-
Russo brothers.
Yes.
Okay.
They will appear and they will tell you about, they'll probably tell you about, what's going to happen. What's going to happen after this last movie.
In Phase 4, they're just going to give you a prequel to what you're about to see, so you can opt out. Then you can say you've dedicated yourself this much. We're going to do it again, but here's what it's going to be like, so you can decide if you want to or not. Well, Asher, thank you so much for coming on this podcast today. We really appreciate your perspective on some of these things.
Yeah, it's awesome.
They completely were. Some of them were different than our thoughts, but we were definitely happy to have you. What we're going to ask you to do now is step off the mic and take a chair in that corner.
I have one question, Asher. Do you think you can get me tickets to that party on Thanos' body?
No.
Okay, I'll try.
Why not? Is it only superheroes?
Yes.
Okay. So you're going to have to become a superhero.
Okay.
You've already got a terrible handle for
Well,
it.
I've got a suit, but that's all I've got.
Yeah. God.
All right, Asher, thanks, man. Yeah, just stay over there in the corner so we don't have to hear you on the microphones. Let's just go ahead and jump into our own plot master. We heard what Asher thinks is going to happen in Endgame, and he was describing a pretty kick-ass party that, unfortunately, none of us will be able to go to. But what do you guys think is going to happen?
So I'm going to have to agree with him everything other than party on Thanos' body. I mean, he's a big dude, but I don't think all of them are going to fit. So my plot master is Captain Marvel joins the crew. The crew bands together. The band of brothers gets back together, and Captain America's fighting with Iron Man, and they somehow take down Thanos. But then they realize that Thanos isn't actually the threat, and there's a larger threat out there. And that threat takes out the original Avengers, completely done, dead, gone, leaves the people who have future movie contracts.
Okay, that is vague as hell, man.
And then there's a party on Thanos' body.
No doubt. That's
There may or may not be a Marilyn Manson remix.
No, and it's just going to be the new Avengers or the new people who have contracts. So, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Captain Marvel, they're all going to be partying there. Like, yeah, it's us now. Yo, who got next?
That's
They do. And they're just throwing money around. They're making it rain.
I got you. Okay, all right, that's interesting.
What do you think's going to happen?
Here's my plot master. They're not going to reveal the next bad guy.
Okay.
Because I feel like if you do that, then you've already set the tone for the next. How can you have other movies that have smaller storylines if they already know there's a villain? So I don't think Thanos was really introduced until Avengers, right? So my thought is that they take care of the threat. There's sacrifices. There's a new team in place, or there's new characters in place, and the post-credit scenes are going to be the launch of the new characters, because that's what they're investing in, not the next bad guy. They're investing in the new heroes.
That's a good point.
So that's who you'll be investing in.
So the new Avengers.
The new Avengers.
So just to be clear, you do not think or do you think the Russo brothers are going to come on screen at the end of the movie and tell you what happens?
How incredible would that be?
I
Like,
think-
we were waiting for these post-credit scenes, and there's just these two guys. They're like, "Hey, we're going to tell you about this next phase."
I think the Russo brothers are Skrulls.
it's going to be like a TED Talk.
But that's my thought ultimately. I don't know how they're going to defeat Thanos, and I don't even necessarily know if they're going to defeat Thanos. It might be a go back in time and do something different deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Destroy the stones back in time or something.
Okay, so that wasn't much better than mine. So, Juicebox, please bring us back home with something that's really going to blow our minds here.
Okay. Mine's a little bit different. I mean, because you never know watching on you never know from the previews what you're going to get.
Sure, that's a big misdirection.
So I think the movie opens. Everyone that was snapped sort of just comes back from dust into their native form, and they're inside this really large beige room that's lit with fluorescent lighting. And there's screens all along the wall, like just going down, like what looks like infinity, because I mean it's a half the universe or whatever. So all of a sudden the screen comes to life. There's a dude that's like looks like a salesman, smiling at everybody, and he tells them that they have been chosen for a great opportunity, and that opportunity is to buy into a timeshare in Florida.
Wait.
And the only way for them to get out of purgatory is to purchase into this timeshare, which is a nightmare because it's like half of the universe trying to share these timeshares, so you're never going to get time there. So then the second half of the movie is all of those people trying to hire personal lawyers to get them out of the timeshare contract so they don't have to pay for it.
Wait.
So basically my theory is Thanos' whole thing was just a timeshare scheme. He just was trying to get all these Infinity Stones so he could snap half the universe into this timeshare presentation and get half the people in the universe to sign up for timeshare.
So where are the people that didn't disappear? Did they escape this timeshare continuum?
They did.
They did.
They did.
Yeah, so they didn't have to buy into the timeshare. So when they buy into the timeshare and go back to reality, they're like, oh, Tony Stark, we need your billions of dollars to hire some lawyers because we messed up.
We made a mistake and signed this timeshare agreement with Thanos.
It's all a ploy to make money.
That's right.
On Thanos' side.
And that just comes back to me thinking that everything is probably a timeshare
Scheme.
Timeshare scheme behind the business, behind the scenes.
I'd be excited to see that because think about some of the people who were killed in the snap. You got Spider-Man in there just like spiting off the walls because this guy won't get off the screen trying to sell him a timeshare.
Yeah, and he's not even legal. He's not even old enough to sign one. So he's like really screwed.
So
really
that may
pissed.
really come into the defense's case. Like, look, this dude isn't even old enough.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah, he signed a legal binding document, but he's not old enough to sign one, so it's void.
And that's the problem with being a youth in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Oh, well, we really hope that you guys go out and see Avengers Endgame. I know we've been excited for it, and we are absolutely, I'm personally thrilled to buy my ticket online, and it's going to be like a concert to me. You know, it's going to be like that anticipation. Like, this only happens once. We're going to do it in IMAX 3D. Is this going to be the last call?
I feel like, yeah. I don't
got
know.
to?
I'm the type of person, like, I have to see the movie in the largest, best format. If I'm going to pay the money.
This will be it for me, though, because we have discussed this, and I think it's just completely a ripoff.
I do too. I spent IMAX money on Captain Marvel, and I was like, man, why'd I do that again?
But
That's it.
It wasn't even in 3D, though, right?
No.
It was.
I
I
don't
went
know.
to see it in the regular theater. Like,
not
this
big
was
on
one
3D.
where I was like,
I
yeah.
also saw it in the regular theater.
I'm not
Yeah.
big on 3D either.
Well, go out and see Avengers Endgame.
Let us
Okay.
know what you think.
Let us know what you think. We'll let you know who plot mastered this thing. Is it going to be a timeshare opportunity, or is it going to be, Thanos being defeated and there is another superpower above him, or is it just going to be
Set up for phase 4 character-wise, or dancing on Thanos' body?
Dancing on Thanos' body. That's what I'm pulling for. I hope you guys are too.
I want to see that also.
So go see Avengers Endgame out this Friday. We hope you guys enjoyed listening. If you don't have children,
Have one.
have one.
Catch up.
Yeah, we want you to know what we go through.
Yeah, with fear.
I wanted to be an American soldier, but instead they gave me the cold shoulder. They thought I'd get killed easily, just because I have a few health difficulties. So to save myself the embarrassment, I partake in a dangerous experiment that gives me biceps, pecs, and abs. I can also run slightly faster, so I go murder some Nazi bastard, led by a guy who's named Red Skull for some reason. And so I killed him right before crashing into the Arctic and freezing over for several decades. I wake up in the future where I have to adjust to seeing black people sitting in the front of the bus. And so just when I think that this is all a bad dream,